All the information provided in this video is for educational purposes only. Any actions or activities related to this video or content within this video is solely your responsibility. The misuse of the information in this video can result in criminal charges brought against the person in question. The author of this video is no way responsible for any misuse of this information.
Today the topic is going to be about social engineering. You might have heard about social engineering in like many conferences, many talks, but this social engineering is going to be totally about how you can manipulate others and how you can collect information about them through online. For example, let's say they have an Instagram account, how you can understand them better and things like that. So this social engineering is not going to be about like sending a phishing link to some companies and then hack it and all of that. These all are like post process that you would be doing. But before you do it, you need to understand what kind of behavior that they possess and what kind of things that they actually like to react to. What is their likes, dislikes, and how you can collect informations about them, through online, and what are the various ways and how you can start a conversation with them, and how you can build a trust between you and them. So this is more of like you basically have 10 to 15 minutes and you need to convince the guy who is sitting in front of you. You gotta convince the other person that you are actually trustable, and you gotta convince that you are actually a nice person to talk to, and you gotta convince that you're not going to exploit them in any ways, etc. So the topic is like going to be like deep about it, like how you can start a conversation, and like the voice modulation that you need to have, etc. So this can be done via phone as well, via online, etc. So I'm just going to give you an like outline, and I'm going to demystify like how these things are actually happening. When I talk about social engineering, it's not only limited to like sending a phishing link and then asking them to enter their passwords, etc. This is more of like manipulating them. You talking to someone and you need to get some personal information about them. So this talk would be like helpful for you right from the like how you can start a conversation and things, etc. So before we get into it, so are you gonna listen to me? So basically I run a cybersecurity company called PrimeFood, and I'm from Pondicherry, and our head office in Chennai, and we've been doing security services for enterprises, and we broke into like multiple like Fortune 100 companies, and I myself take care of this chapter called as OWASP, which is Open Web Application Security Project, and I also take care of this organization called Entrepreneurs Council of India, which is again for empowering entrepreneurs, etc. And also I take care of this organization called as National Information Security Council. I basically lead the steering committee of it, which is like technical part of it. And also I'm a technical team committee of an organization called as National Cyber Safety and Security Standards. And apart from that, personally, I broke into Apple, BlackBerry, Google, like Barracuda Networks and other companies. And apart from that, I spoke to more than, like 1 lakh students across the country, and I have given talks in more than 200 colleges, and I have presented in more than 40-50 conferences across the country. And apart from that, these all are the couple of initiatives that we have under the company. Prime Pilot is basically an like initiative wherein like we go to other colleges and teach them what cybersecurity is all about. And DigiSafe Nations is one of the Chennai's biggest cybersecurity awareness program that we have organized again for free of cost. And Startup Puducherry is something which we have started for Pondicherry for again like empowering entrepreneurship and all. And that's pretty much about the shameless self promotion. So today's agenda is going to be like what are the things that we're going to talk about? We are not going to talk about only the theory part, but theory part is something which like you need to be pretty strong at. When you're talking to someone, when you're texting someone through Instagram, when you're texting someone through WhatsApp, when you're video calling someone via Facebook or WhatsApp, when you're sending a mail to someone, like these all are the skills that you would definitely be needing. It's not only limited to hacking, but this is more of like understanding the humans who is like in front of you, right? So when I say background analysis, like background analysis is all about what kind of person are they, because the way they behave, the way they are behaving, and the way they are actually reacting to something, these all are like totally depends upon the kind of environment that they have grown up with and what kind of circumstances that they are in. And what kind of profession that they actually are into. For example, if the person is basically into law enforcement agencies or someone into army or something, you might see them like, maintaining discipline and punctuality, so and so. So these are the things that actually changes a man, right? I mean, when you're talking to someone, their characters, the way they behave, all these things are actually associated with with the place that they actually belong to. That is one thing. And closed circle. Why do you need to know about the closed circle? Is that like, when I say closed circle, it is the kind of people that they are in touch with, because that also, like totally change them, right? And the lifestyle. The reason why I'm talking about lifestyle is that, what kind of person are they? Are they a celebrity, or like what kind of lifestyle are they living? For example, are they someone who travels a lot, or like someone like us, like, who go to conferences and give talks, etc. So these all are also like we'll be collecting from a person. And uh, and OSINT is basically called as open source intelligence, which is basically like, you collect information about someone basically for intelligence purpose. You'll be collecting it from a phone call, or you would be collecting it via Instagram, or you'll be collecting it via Facebook, or whatever it is. So these all are what you call as OSINT, right? And once you collect it, you're going to keep all these informations and you're going to label them as assets. Because with this asset only you can manipulate the person, you can understand them person, you can question them person, like, I mean, precisely you can question them, right? So this is what you call as asset. So before we get into it again, like, this is completely for educational purposes. It is basically like, if someone is trying to do phishing, or if someone is trying to do social engineering on you, you need to be aware that they're actually doing social engineering. So that is why you need to learn this. And a disclaimer, which is basically like, I'm going to teach you everything, but you are not supposed to do it for bad purpose. So that is why this particular disclaimer. And yes, this is completely for educational purposes, and this does not have anything to do with the organization I work for or take care of, or anything. So why social engineering? You might have heard about social engineering in many talks. At least, like when you go for a conference, at least 2 talks out of 10 would be about social engineering. Why everybody is talking about social engineering is that you have sophisticated softwares, you have like sophisticated hardwares, you have, like sophisticated team which knows like what kind of attack might happen, and they might have IPS, they might have IDS, they might have firewall, they might have this protection, that protection, they have this compliance, they would be saying like we are ISO 9001, blah blah blah, and everything. But the problem is that as an organization, as an individual, you might spend thousands or like billions of dollars on your security, but if someone can send you a link and you are able to click that link and communicate with that person, this whatever the security that you have done, it is like completely useless, right? I mean, the thing is like, let's assume you have antivirus for your computer, etc. But the thing is like, if you would let me access your PC for 2 seconds, this antivirus is nothing, right? So, and also like, if you can actually, I would love to have this as an interactive session actually. At least you can text me if you can't talk. So I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and like I would be expecting your response basically. Then only we can, like learn this better. Right. So yes. So this is like phases of hacking, like reconnaissance, which is like understanding the target better, collect as much as information about them, and then scanning, which is like what and all the service that they're running, etc. And gaining access. Let it be their Instagram account, or let it be their website, or whatever it is, and then gaining access. You're going to gain access to it, and you're going to maintain the access, which is like, you might be having backdoor, etc. And covering tracks, which is like, using a proper VPN, and like deleting the notification mail that they have got that someone has logged into your account, blah blah blah. So that all comes under the maintaining access stuff. And covering tracks again, like, covering, like clearing all the tracks is what that is meant by, that I meant here as covering tracks. So yes, sources. How many of you have used? How many of you use Instagram here? You can just send me yes or something like that in the text box which you have on the right side. I just want to know how many of you are actually using Instagram. That's it. How many use Instagram here? Yes, yes, yes. No, yes, sir. I'm using. Uh, yes. All right. No. Yes. No. No. Okay. Understood. So that's a good amount of no and less amount of yes. I guess it's equal actually. I mean, like 50% of the people are actually using Instagram and 50% of the people are not using Instagram. That is actually good. And how many of you use Facebook here? Yes. So a lot of people use Facebook. All right. So again, okay. So yes, so it's around like some 80% of the people here use Facebook. And Truecaller, how many of you use it again? Like all of you use Truecaller here? And also like you can answer all of this. Maybe like Truecaller, Google Pay, Paytm. When it comes to TikTok, you could say like yes or no. That's it. If you answer only if you don't use TikTok, that's it. Just tell me no if you don't use TikTok. That's it. No TikTok. No TikTok. Okay. Okay, that's a good amount of no. Anyways. So yeah. So this talk would be like how the millennials, right? For example, because like I started cybersecurity when in 2008, and the first time I was using internet, I was around like 13 or 14. I guess like my particular generation actually knows why we had GPRS, why we got 2G, and why we got 3G, and then 4G or LT or whatever it is, and then VoLT, etc. But the current generation, right? I mean, I'm talking about the 2000, the kids who are born after 2004, right? So they basically don't know like about what kind of evolution that we had, right? For example, first we had landline, and then like then we had a dial-up connection for our home, and then we had floppy, we had CD, and then you call that as a VCD, and then DVD, and then DivX, and then hard disk, and then SSD, and then micro SSD, and all of that, right? So we know the evolution that we basically had, right? So the problem is that right now the millionaires, right? They are the one who is getting hacked a lot of times. The thing is that they don't know anything. Basically, like like we are pushing every one of them towards digital, or they are just pushing themselves towards digital. I mean, nobody's forcing them actually. That we are not forcing them to use YouTube or something, but they are in a situation where they have to do it. But the thing is that they don't know the basics, like what kind of attacks are there, like what kind of antivirus that they have to use, etc. So that is one problem. The reason why we have a lot of attacks which is going on, right? At least like like a single day I would be getting a lot of messages. That's this bank account got hacked, that bank account got hacked, or this website got hacked, that website got hacked. So 80% of these attacks are not carried out by like hacking into the banking website, or hacking into their personal accounts, or hacking into the Facebook server, etc., which is not at all possible. It's a very like it's a very complicated thing to do. Basically, hacking into it and all is like not easy, basically, because companies like Facebook or bank and all, they would be spending millions of amount for to secure their infrastructure. So hacking into it and then gaining access to it is like literally not possible. So the other way around is to basically hack the person who is actually using it. For example, the person who hacks your account, uses your credit card and all, they don't have to hack the bank website. So basically what they do is that they would be sending, basically, let's say like a mail to 10,000 to 12,000 people, and they might have collected this mail from anywhere. Like some database might have got breached, some companies might have got breached, or you might have entered your mail ID in some forms, or you might have entered in it could be anywhere, right? So collecting 10,000 mail IDs is not at all a big deal, basically, right? Say they would be collecting 10,000 to 20,000 mail IDs, and then they would be sending a mass mail, basically, to tell like, okay, your bank account got hacked, and you need to enter your so and so on informations, and we would unblock your account. This is one way of like sending things, which is what you call as phishing. And they will also be sending a message, basically. As smishing works in a different way. Basically what they will be doing is that they might have sent you a message like, we are from Coca-Cola and you have won like 10,000 GPP, and all you gotta do is send your name, sex, mail ID, phone number, and the profession, single or married, etc., and so on. So the reason why they collect these kind of information is that you might be thinking like what someone could actually do with it. But the thing is, like, once someone has an access to informations about this, they can precisely draw and target, like how to target you, etc. So it's not a very big deal basically, right? When I have your name, when I know your age, when I know your sex, when I know your Gmail ID, if I put your Gmail ID, I can find your Facebook. If I know your name, I can just Google it and then find your any of your accounts. If I know your age, I can, like I know like how to talk to you, right? If you're a teenager, I cannot tell you like I'm going to give you a free Netflix account. You will not be if you are not a teenager, you will not get excited about it, right? When you're a teenager, and then I'm gonna tell you like you can take this life insurance. People are not going to be excited about it. But if I do it the other way around, let's say you are a teenager, you say like you are below 23, then I might be saying like free credit cards or a free Netflix account, or let's say like I'm going to give you a coupon which you can actually claim on Flipkart, etc. These all are the things which will actually excite them. And if I'm going to target someone who is like above 40 or 45, what I would tell them is that I would tell them like your bank account got locked, or like you want this much of amount, or you might say like your loan got sanctioned, or I'm gonna tell you like you got free medical loan, or I'm gonna tell you like free medical insurance, etc. So these kind of things is what that 40 plus aged people would be falling into it. So before I'm targeting someone, I need to know all this information. Then only I can precisely make them fall into my trap, right? So this is what they basically do. And so information, so sources, for example, let's assume I'm going to target someone who is like below 20. So in this case, what I would actually do is that one second, I'm going to share my whole screen. Yes, right, I guess you can actually see my screen. So one second, so this is my account actually. So for example, this is my friend's account. So I'm just going to tell you like what are the information that you can actually collect out of it, right? So let's say like she's a very close friend of mine. Let's say like I'm going to target her, right? If I'm going to target someone, I need to know information about them. What kind of person are they? What kind of content that they actually post? So this is basically an Instagram account. So the thing is like first I need to know, okay, so I have the information like, okay, her name is Farheen, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to collect all these informations. Let's say this is the person I'm going to target, but oh, okay, or else let's target some like celebrities, or what kind of person I can target. Mm, okay, can you zoom it? One second. Okay, all right. I'm just gonna, yes, I'll do it. Uh, right. So first thing I would be needing is the name. Name is what I would be needing, and then age of email ID, and sex, whether they are male or female or whatever, and then location, where do they live, and profession, and birthday. So how do I collect this name particularly? How do I collect someone's let's say, I mean, I'll use my account itself better. Let's not, one sec. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm just typing all that. Let me you know so yeah, I can you able to see this? See my screen now? Yes. Okay. So these all are the informations I would be needing before I perform any social engineering attack. See, basically social engineering is all about manipulating someone to do things that they are not supposed to do, right? So can you able to see all, the screen actually? Yes. Okay, all right. So first, like, how do you collect name of someone? For example, in this case, I'm going to use Instagram, right? So I'll be using like multiple social media networks, but first let's try with Instagram. So let's say I'm going to target this person whose name is Sriram, which is me. So name, first I'm going to have his name, and what would be his age, right? In most of the cases, they might have mentioned their what is that, their age on the description itself. In most of the cases, basically a lot of people do. But if this case, I mean, let's say let's say they didn't mention here, what is the next step to do? Which is like to see their post, right? which is to see their each and every post basically. In my case, I might have posted, see, I posted around like 795 photos, but I'll also tell you, so there is this tool which would actually help you out. I'll explain you how does this tool works, but let's go with the basics. I mean, manual first, right? For example, in this case, I need to find my, age, which is like the birth date or whatever, right? If I know the birth date or if I know the age, I can, somehow approximately say like when I was born, etc. For example, just to let you know, I born in February, right? So this post is being done by May. So let's go down a bit, and this is March. Uh, this is January, and this is February, and February 4, which is obviously I don't think so. So February 10. You don't see anything, right? I didn't put any hashtag like birthday or anything else like that. So you gotta find my birthday. So this is February 18. So I didn't post anything. But the thing is like my date of birth is February 13. Just for your information, I'm just giving you. February 13 is my birthday. So okay, so I didn't post anything on that particular year, but let's go down a bit and then see if I would have posted anything. Just to make sure when I was born. To like I didn't mention my date of birth anywhere, but you need to find it, right? I might have leaked somewhere or the another, so we have to find that out. This is July, and this is July. This is June, and May. So May again. I want to find. This is March. So somewhere below, I mean above this or something. So this is March, and February 13 is what you have. March again. March 13 again, and February 28. So somewhere below this. It's 15 and 15 again. So yes. So in this case, I just have mentioned celebrating birthday with Anna, which is Anna is like brother in Tamil, and turned 21. When did I post it? So I have posted. This is something which all of us would have done it. Even if this is not on Instagram, you might have done this anywhere, right? For example, in this case, I have mentioned the this particular post. I have put like February 13, 2008. I'm saying like celebrating birthday. I said like I turned 21, which is like by 2020 I was 21. So by 2020 I would be 23. So you know the age right now, right? Now the thing is like I didn't mention my date of birth here, but so again like you can calculate it easily. If I'm 90, if 2018 I'm 21, then I would have born in 97. So now you have my name, date of birth, which is 1302 1997, and also what kind of profession, what kind of people I'm talking to, right? So this is full of interviews and then college talks, etc. So I am a person who travels a lot for talks or whatever it is. So if I'm traveling, then again I will tell you why I'm collecting all this information. So you have this information, but in this case again I mentioned I am a hacker, so obviously the people who knows it like know it, and so yeah, again here also I mentioned like this is my 23rd birthday, right? So with this you can again collect some information about it. So if I'm a person who actually travels a lot, then again like sex you can say like male, it's very easy to identify. And mail ID, I don't have my mail ID here, but then like if you open my Instagram account through your Facebook, I mean your application, it will actually show you my mail ID. So again xyz@gmail.com or whatever it is. Now you also know my mail ID. And then location, which place I often go to is my location. Most of the cases, like which place I often go to is my location, which is like Pondicherry. And then profession also, hacker I have mentioned. Collecting these information out of Instagram is not at all a big deal. Again, birthday, lifestyle. I'm a guy who travels a lot. Let's say like travels a lot, right? So I am a person. So again, your target is Shriram, 23, travels a lot, IT guy. You just keep it this way. So you know this information. And how often do I post? I post a lot, which actually means I'm a social media guy. Somewhere like I'm a guy who is so actively involved in social media. So when a person is so active on social media, they would be leaking about their information in some way or the another. For example, I'll also tell you like where and all you would be leaking this kind of information. So yes. So first, okay. So this is the guy your target is. This is the guy you need to have, right? So my name is this. So 23 is my age. So which is basically like I'm a young guy. So what I fall for? I fall for Netflix, free Netflix account. I can mail to myself like free Netflix account is available for you. There's a lot of chance I might click it. And IT guy, send him something about IT stuff. IT guy, you can send like software crack, whatever it is. You can do a lot of conversation. And social media guy, so you can most of the conversation you can have via social media itself. You don't have to get his phone number and then have a conversation, etc. So like this is a guy you need to target, and you keep these informations. So the first thing is you found someone on the Instagram, right? So my question is like, what is the first message that you will be sending to them? You need to hack that person. What is the first message you will be sending? First message. You don't know anything about each other. The first message you're sending. What would be the first message you would be sending to that guy? Just leave a text here, or if you want to, you can even enable the mic. Like it will be interactive, which is how I wanted it to be. How will you start a conversation with someone? Opposite travels. Okay. No, see, I mean, how to say that? Let's say you are talking to someone who is of your age, right? For example, let's assume you are like, yeah, yes. How will you start a conversation with someone?
Hi.
No, but then like, okay, hi. Anything else? Any specific place, visit details, and offer. Okay, so let's say, uh, you found someone on Instagram or Facebook, right? So let's assume in this case you need to talk to someone on Instagram. What is the first message that you would be sending? And the thing is like they should reply back to your message. First message, right? What is the first message that you would be sending? Just tell me. You can guess whatever you want to. Like you don't have to be like kind of like whether it would be non-professional or whatever it is, because you are talking to a person who is of your age. Hi dude, we are having a weekend party, unlimited inside. Okay, that is one thing. Again, what else? What else? But then like, hi dude, we are having this and all. Uh, you might have met this person somewhere, right? So then only this particular conversation will work, or else like it will be very difficult to get replies from them. Right? You look great. And what else? What else? Just guess like normal wild guess. You don't have to be like very precise. So yes, if you don't have any idea, I'll just teach you how to do that. So basically, the thing is like when you're talking to someone, right? You need to be in the first message that you're actually sending. If you're sending a message, hi, we need a hacker who can solve a problem, no hacker would actually reply, because these kind of messages that all of us would be getting, at least we would be getting at least 100 to 250 messages like this daily in our inbox. So this is the kind of message that we usually not tend to respond to. So yes, like we don't do that. But the first conversation, right? You don't know who is this person, blah blah blah, anything. So the first conversation, the first message that you are sending to someone, let's say most of them are teen. The first thing is you need to confuse them first. Confuse them. The second thing is you need to scare them. Scare as in not like I'm going to kill you or something. Scare as in like you need to make sure that they are actually worried after reading your messages about themselves, not about you. Because you could even say like I'm going to die. They will not care about it because they don't have anything to do with it. Then they are not your friends, so obviously they wouldn't be. Most of the cases they wouldn't do it. So the first message should be in such a way, yeah, we know your password is one good way to target people who are of above 40. I have gained your social media access. If you do the same thing with the teen, most of the time they would block you basically. They would not reply you. But if you do the same thing with people who are 40 plus, there's a lot of chance that they would reply back to you. Right? So the first thing is that, for example, you can start a conversation with the first message like, was that you? I never expected this from you, etc., etc. So what happens in this case is that, uh, uh, you know, okay, so this thing, right? So what happens in this case is that when you send a message like that, in most of the cases they would be worried about themselves. Like, what is this guy going to tell me? What did I did? What did I do wrong? Because when you say like I never expected this from you, you are actually telling them that you had a trust towards them. You believed them. You actually thought that this particular person was a good person. Nobody wants to prove to others that they are a bad person, though they know them or not. Regardless of whether they know them or not. Most of the cases they would not be willing to project themselves as a bad person, even though they are, right. So the first message should be like, was that you? So what happens when you send a message like this? They will get confused. They will accept your request, I mean the message request, and then they will reply back to you. And then you could say like whatever you want. I'm so sorry, like I sent an this was a wrong window. I sent this message mistakenly, or etc. Whatever it is, you can after that you can say like butter hands or whatever. You can again like convince them. It's very easy after that, right? So that is one thing. And how do you start a conversation with the Facebook? Is that when you are talking about Facebook, in Facebook you will be you can able to collect a lot of information, like what is their likes, what is their dislikes, what kind of person are they, and what is their profession, what is their age, what kind of people are they talking to, etc. You can find easily via Facebook the kind of people who are liking their display picture, the kind of people who are commenting under their post, etc., with which you can actually understand that particular person a bit better. So when it comes to Facebook, we can also do that. For example, just give me a while. So in this case, let's say you're going to visit someone's profile. For example, I have mentioned all this information, and this one also says like I'm being followed by these many people. This is my Instagram account. This is like the kind of people who I talk to, and even if my account is actually logged, you can click it and see who are all the people who liked my photos, right? And what kind of like people who are actually commenting under my post, etc. So this with which you can easily find out like what kind of person are they, etc. And also Facebook allows you to do this thing, which is like likes, what kind of thing I actually like, right? For example, in this case, details about you, I don't have any details. Family and relationship, I didn't add anything. So these are the basic informations about myself. And also photos. This is archive and the check-ins, the place I have been to, like things like that. And also what kind of sports who I actually like. This person is a friend of mine. And what kind of artists I actually follow to, and what kind of films I have watched, what kind of TV programs again, all these things. When you have all this information, what is my likes, what is my dislikes, what kind of events I'm participating into, etc., you can actually like come to a conclusion. Like if we talk to this person in this particular way, this particular person will actually reply back to us. For example, let's say you are an HR, and when it comes to HR, if I represent myself as a C-level, employee of a company, there's a lot of chance that this particular HR will reply back to me. If I don't have data like private, non-privacy settings, then how to get? I'll also tell you how to do that. Let's say you are not available on social media. I will also tell you like what someone could actually do it, right? So this is how we can collect Facebook data. And also, uh, you know, you don't have any data. I don't know what kind of person are you, etc. But I could at least find what kind of person are you, what kind of profession, right? By just looking at your comment section and all, I can actually find it. After you accept my request, if somebody is like so concerned, then it's very difficult, because if they know like this is how people are going to attack them, then it's completely useless to talk to them via social media. So let's assume somehow you made them accept your request, what kind of person are they, etc. And somehow you talk to them, and then let's assume you found their phone number or nothing else. You know their name and their phone number, that's it. You don't know anything else. So in this case, what you can do is that you have the phone number, you're going to put the phone number on the Truecaller. What Truecaller would actually do is that Truecaller would tell them like this is their name. In some cases it would also tell you like your second name. Most of the time, how people would actually save your phone number is that, for example, in my case, how people actually save my number is that they will be saving Sriram Hacker or Sriram Prime 4. This is how most of the people would be saving. So if somebody is going to put my number on Truecaller would actually show Sriram Hacker or Sriram this one. So with which you can get some information. And in most of the cases, Truecaller would also show your mail ID. If you would have done it, if you would have put your mail ID while creating your profile, somebody could actually look at your this one and then find your basically what is that, your mail ID as well. So if they can collect these informations. So once they have all this, the second thing is I found a bug on Google Pay. Now it's actually patched. So if you would have noticed, Google Pay would allow you to do this thing, which is like you put someone's phone number on Google Pay, and Google Pay would actually tell you that this particular, I can show you actually. So yes. So this is a bug which I actually found on Google. So what happens with Google Pay? This is how it used to be. This was reported, 2 years back, I guess. So yes. So this is how the Google Pay interface would be look like. And you have this option called View. You click it, and then it will show all these informations. And just tap any contact. Now it actually allows you to put the phone number as well, right? Once you put the phone number, Google Pay had this bug which was actually exposing their mail ID. I don't know if you'd have noticed. This is how the interface was very long back. Okay, I guess understood. So Google Pay, 1 second. So Google Pay, this is a bug which I found on Google Pay. Google Pay allows you to do this thing. You go and then you click this new, and then it will be asking like whether you want to recharge or whether you're gonna send money or whatever it is. Back in those days when Google Pay was actually launched, they had this vulnerability. All I have to do is put their phone number and it will show their mail ID like this. So what someone could actually do with your mail ID again, right? So let's assume I know your phone number. In Google Pay, even in Truecaller, someone might have used a fake name. But in Google Pay, most of the name that they actually said there is actually their real name. They don't fake their name. Google Pay at least. So phone number, you know that person's name, you know their Gmail, you know these informations. And you also know them that they're actually having account on Google Pay. So how you can attack this person? You can send a smishing message stating that Google Pay gives you voucher, one thing. Second thing, you can sell this data to PhonePe or Paytm kind of companies. Third thing, you know that this person is actually there, right? You have the Gmail ID. So what someone could do with your mail ID? Mail ID. Most of the time, the mail ID would be like this: XYZ, or this is how the mail ID would be. Most of the cases, right? XYZ132 or gmail.com. or let's say like your mail id is admin at example. This is your mail id. Let's say I found your mail id. So the second thing I would do is that I'll just go to this website called as this website. I don't know if you can able to see this. If not, this is this. Have I been called? This is a website. Let's say I know your mail id. I'm just gonna put it here. And this particular thing would say like whether my mail ID has been breached in any of the breached database or not. So the reason why we are doing it is that through which you can actually find whether my mail ID has been breached. The reason why we are doing it is that in most of the cases we would be using the same password for your mail accounts, Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts, etc. So if you're actually using it, you need to change it because your mail ID gets breached in any of the account. And what basically people attacker actually does is that they'll be using this account mail ID and password combination, and then they'll be trying it in all your accounts. So this is why you are not supposed to use the same password. And also this one particular link would also allow you. This was actually this link I found in one of my friends talk. So this particular mail ID would give you the password that they have actually set. For example, let's say I know your this one mail ID alone. I'll just put it in this link and it will tell me what and all the passwords that they have actually used. This is fetching details from these websites like 500 bits, all this. This is where it actually fetches the details, right? And it will tell me, for example, in this case, I don't know, I'll just zoom in. These are all the passwords that they had. I can look at the thing. I mean, see, they had admin as password, assassin as password, Elmir123. For example, can somebody give me your mail ID, Gmail ID, which is very old?
Sir, I'm giving.
Yeah, just type it.
Okay, sir, I'm typing.
I assume that this mail ID is something which you use very often. Then only it will be in the breached database or somewhere.
I gave in Rajkumar Jaiswal 10@gmail.com.
Understood. So you have mail ID. It says like it got breached in Canva in this website. So let's see if it is actually available or not, because not every database would be available here. So yes, you had this password anytime for any of your accounts. You had this password, right? So Krishna is who? Who is Krishna? My friend. Okay, is there any chance that you are an English professor or something like that?
Sir, could you put my email ID?
No. This kattasomesh@gmail.com is assistant professor. Okay, CSC. Okay, whatever. So something, this password says something, right? There's the reason why you are set is like speakeasy and Krishna is your friend. So I assume that you had this password in 2016. That's why you came 2016 as your password there. If I'm right, yes. Exactly. So and also let's let's say Rajkumar Jaiswal. Jaiswal. Right. So again, this is like it got breached. It got breached in Dailymotion and Edmodo. So Dailymotion is again a video sharing platform. So let's assume you are a guy who posts videos, or you might have posted videos. So is this your phone number, Rajkumar Jaiswal? Is this your phone number?
Yeah. Too long back I put this as a password.
Understood. So yes. So okay. So again, there's a lot of chance that you might use this phone number for your social media accounts, at least any of your accounts.
Yeah.
So now this Mr. He, this mail ID is not breached anywhere, but yes, it's not breached anywhere. So it's good, right? So this is what someone could what someone could do your mail ID again. When it comes to any social media accounts, mail ID and phone number this is how they verify you that you are actually you. It could be bank, it could be anything. This is the main a parameter that they actually have towards you to verify that this is you, right? So if I have mail ID access to you, I can actually compromise your social media accounts. I'll give you link for all of that. Have I been pawned.com? This was a website, and with which I checked it, and that's again an API. So so now you must have understood how like dangerous it is to have same password and use phone number, or why do you have to change your passwords very often? You understood why I'm talking about social engineering now. This social engineering is not about sending a links or something. It's basically about how you can hack into an organization. The reason why I'm like particularly talking about is that, okay, so that is just 1 second. So this XYZ gmail.com is where you actually need to check it. And the example is something which is like, it's like basically every database will have a passwords like this. So look at the password: Chelsea, Chester, Chicago, look at their passwords. 123 blah blah blah. These all are like basic passwords, phone number and all of that. So it's very easy, right? In this case. So yes, let's go to the talk again. Mail ID alone. I don't have any information. I just have your mail ID alone, right? So when you have your password, I'll be trying this in all. For example, now you actually concluded that you have used this password very long back. Now how I will actually write a mail is that hello, I hacked your computer and I compromised it fully. I know what kind of you've been talking to, what kind of videos that you're watching. I know you wouldn't believe me, but let me confirm this by sending your password XYZ 123, whatever the password that I have found via this link, right? I'll just send them this. If you don't want your information to get leaked, send me 1 BTC Bitcoin. You have only 24 hours to respond. Regards or thanks, or reach out to me at example. That's it. So if I'm sending you a message, a mail like this, like would you reply back to this? At least will this kind of mail scare you? So I'll tell you how I constructed this particular mail ID. The first message itself, I'm scaring you. The first message itself, this first line would actually make you to read all these lines. From this line to this line, this would actually make you to read all this line. And the second thing, why you should read the next line? I'm telling you, I know what kind of people you've been talking to. In life, obviously, we might have talked to someone or the another. And what kind of videos? I'm telling you, you might have watched some video or the another, which could be an illegal video, or it could be some bad videos, whatever it is. Again, I got your attention. Within this gap, from this to this, you might have a second thought. What if this guy is lying? And that is the reason I have clearly established here. I know you wouldn't believe me. which is to make you believe me. All right. And I'm again telling you, okay, let me confirm you this, that your password is this. You might have used this password anywhere in your life. And you, when I reach, when you, you know, like, when you reach to this point, this particular, this line, you might have already been scared, or you might have already trusted that I hacked your PC. Again, I'm giving you a demand. If you don't want your information to get leaked, send me 1 BTC. Or if you are an Indian, I would just say, send me 5,000 rupees. Or I would say, send me 4,500. If this actually, you know, or if like 4,999 only, something like that, right? So when you look at it, this would not be like a very big amount if you are a guy. And why am I doing this? You have only 24 hours. The reason why I'm mentioning 24 hours is that you don't have 24 hours basically. I'll tell you one, because 8 hours you would be working, 8 hours you would be at home, 8 hours you would be sleeping. So you basically have 8 to 12 hours, because we would not be working all the time. So you basically have 8 to 12 hours. Within 8 to 12 hours, reaching out to police, you would not do it, because I have your videos. You would not be willing to talk about to your friends or family or parents, whatever it is. So the only option you have is that, send me this amount. You understand what I'm talking? Do you understand? Am I clear? Am I clear? Yes, I'm glad about it. So yes. So this is how they would be constructing the whole mail ID, right? So the first thing when it comes to mail, subject. You know, if I keep this as a subject, there's a lot of chance that you would be clicking this mail, right? So this is how someone would be targeting you. And the second thing, so this is what pretty much someone could do if they have your mail ID. And in my case, it's very worse, because I work for multiple organizations. So if you just type my mail ID, it will show everything about me. So I guess that's not the case with yourself, but then I'm just giving you an example, right? So that's one thing. And okay, so let's go to the Paytm. What happens with the Paytm? Paytm is that if you just type your phone number in that, it will tell your name again. Again, I can get information about it. And TikTok. So why am I talking about TikTok? Let's say I'm just gonna look at you know, random. Hope nothing comes in my screen, but then let's see. Hope the videos are actually good. Let's hope that it's not going to be something intimate. I don't know like what kind of video is going to appear, but then so what is the problem with the TikTok? I'll tell you. I'll just show you an example. You know, if you look into this video, the kind of information that they're actually leaking is like very huge. They're showing their whole home. So what happens with the photo, right? I mean, I'll just tell you how does this actually works in India. I'll just give you an example, right? TikTok. You can see. So I mean, I'm not going to sound you know, like a racist, but then like with the size of their home, you can predict to some level, rich, poor, you know, below whatever, right? This is one thing. And the second thing is, this is something which I've been telling to a lot of people, but this is actually still possible. if you take Chennai as an example, right, the people who make TikToks in Chennai, especially, you can see their home, their phone, whether they have an iPhone or an Android, the kind of products that they have in their home, etc., etc. A lot of information, right? So what someone could actually do with it? Let's say I'm talking to you, and you have told me that you live in Anna Nagar. Anna Nagar is a place in Chennai. If you don't know, so what I would do is that I'll go to Google. Okay. Okay. So basically, how big is Anna Nagar? I'm not sure, but let's see. Okay. So this is my target. I got to know that this particular person is living in Anna Nagar, and I know how does their home looks like, etc. In Chennai, most of the places like basically apartments, right? So I'm just giving an example. It doesn't have to work this precisely, but I'm just giving you. It's just a story of like how I found someone's address, right? So this is Anna. This is the size of an Anna Nagar, and the second thing I gotta do is that nearby apartments. Okay, so how many apartments are there? There's around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There's a lot of apartments, right? Like around like, they have huge apartment, like, some 30 to 40. So there are 30 to 40 apartments. Now I gotta know the interior paint color. I mean, this doesn't have to be this precise, but then I'm just giving an idea where and all you can collect information. Interior paint color. I mean the color that they have painted. Window. Each and every apartment would be having a unique window. The size of the window, the kind of window that they have, etc. So window, like because you have seen that in TikTok. Now the second step, you have all these informations. Anna Nagar apartments. But I'm just giving an example. Okay, this one. All right. So this is basically what they call as a promo video. You will be having such kind of promo video for all the apartments. If you look at it, you can identify what kind of switchboards that they are using. How does the bed looks like? How, like the window, the balcony, etc., etc. You can find this information very easily, right? So you also have this phone number here in this case. Is it for sale? Let me know. If I want to hack this guy, I'll just call him and then say like, I got to know that you commented into my YouTube account. Let me know because this apartment is a very expensive apartment that is in Anna Nagar. So if you want to buy this apartment, you gotta ask them for IT records, what is their profession, etc., etc. So there's a lot of possibility that you can collect information from this person as well. But I'm just giving an idea. So the second thing is like the interior, the window. So the third thing is you need to match it. Which video goes with which? With which you can find their like apartment name. This is where they live. And let's assume like you got to know them, and you need to make sure that this is their particular address or whatever it is. Right? Finding someone's address inside an apartment is very easy. You can just go to the watchman and then ask them. Go each and every block and then ask them like, is this a person where they are living, etc., etc. It's not a very big deal, right? Once you know their name, you know their address. Let's say there are 3 Sriram, living in the same apartment. So yeah, how do you make sure that which is my exact address? How will you do that? Now I want to make sure which Shriram is living in which apartment. How will you do that? What is the best way to know them? What is the best way to find the right address? Like which, I mean, see, you have only one Shriram as a target. How will you make sure like this is the Shriram you need to living in this particular apartment? How will you make sure that? Any guess? Any guess? How will you make sure? You have any idea or no? You can just say yes or no. Okay, all right. So in this case, what I'll do is that all the e-commerce website have this option wherein like you can send them products via cash on delivery. You know someone's address, send them products on cash on delivery. You know, for 10 to 15 times, and then they will get pissed off, and then they will be posting it on their Instagram or Facebook, with which you can actually find that this particular person is whom we are targeting, and this is the right address. You can do that way, right? So the second thing, discuss some profession details. Like I didn't get to. No. Once we are done with it, I would also be telling you how to target corporates as well. So this is for the individual. Only if they understand, we can go for the this one, right? So this is pretty much they actually leak on TikTok. So the second thing, right? You need to hack a company. How will you hack a company? LinkedIn is the best way. For example, this case. Let's say I need to hack someone from a college. Let's say I'm gonna type SRM University. Not SRM. Let's go for some companies. So let's say Cognizant is the company I need to hack. So Cognizant says that they have a lot of employees. So what I have to do is that, I mean, if I open their account, it will show the notification. But yes, in LinkedIn also, once they become your connection, you can collect their mail ID. Let's say you are targeting an HR. All right. So what you need to do is that you need to send a mail to HR, like we are from this blah blah companies. There are exploits basically. They are called as doc exploits. Doc exploits. This is doc exploits. This is what you call as doc exploits, which is basically this is a bug that they have found on Microsoft Word, Microsoft PPT, or whatever it is, XYZ company, right? So what happens is that if you are targeting an HR, there's a lot of chance that HR would obviously be opening PDF files or a doc file or whatever it is. There's a lot of chance because they are used to do it. So once you send them this kind of exploitable PDF, all they have to do is just they have to click it once, and that's it. You get full access to his PC. Full compromise, right? So that is one thing. And also one more thing, this particular script I was talking about, we were doing everything manually, right? I mean, collecting information via Instagram, finding their hashtag, finding their date and all. So this particular, like small tool, which actually helps you to do that. You put someone's username like that, it will get their username, profile name, URL, followers, following, number of posts, bio, external URL, join, when did they join, whether it was recently or not, business, is it private, verified, their public photos, etc. So with these information, you can easily, identify what kind of person are they. So this script you can install. It's a Python script. So this is how one second, targeting an individual would work. So yes, and also let's say you are talking to someone over the phone, right? So what is the best thing to maintain the conversation is that starting the conversation, as I told you before, you need to confuse them. You need to make them talk to you first, right? So that's the first step. And the second thing is listening to them very properly, because each and everything that they will be telling you is very important for you to hack them, right? So you can say them, which is basically like you are listening to them and ask them open-ended questions. When they say like I've been to college, let's say assume the conversation goes like this. Let's say the conversation goes like, you're asking how was your day, and then they're saying like something like, oh, no, I went to college, it was very boring, like I didn't like it, or let's say they are saying like I fought with the professors, etc. And then you can ask them questions like, okay, where do you study, which professor did you fight with, why did you fight with, etc., etc. Open-ended questions. You building a question out of their question, which is basically like you are making them talk to you, and you are actually collecting information. And since this particular topic is something which they are interested to talk to, they would be leaking a lot of information. And the second thing, when they are actually sad, right? If you tell them like don't be sad, they will get pissed off. You gotta tell them like you are also sad, your day was also bad, so they would actually think like you will not be exploiting them. They would actually think that you are also vulnerable, and you are also vulnerable, and then they'll most probably they will share their personal information as well. But this is a very bad thing if you are going to betray someone. But this is how the hacking works. And make it personal, basically, right? When they are saying like some people, right? For example, in my case, in my talk, if you would have noticed, I was using these words called basically, generally, or like these kind of words. This is the kind of words I was using very often. So when you are talking to me, if you use same words, my mind would actually think that you are someone who is in the same frequency. Mirroring the word, whatever I use. Let's say I've been using this word called I am pissed off and I fought with this guy. The day was bad, blah blah blah, and all. And then if you when you talk to me, and then you also like you got pissed off, same words, right? Different words, different word as in like weird words. Demystification. This word is very general, but then people don't use it very often. So when you're talking to me, you say like I'm going to demystify this, demystify that. I would be tend to listen to you very keenly, because this is a word which I use. So my brain would actually think that it's something which is very similar to me. And the same words, mirroring their words would always be helpful for you to building the trust. And when they are like whining to you, when they're telling their problems, etc., you can tell them like, okay, now you must be feeling good, I guess. Or you could say like, okay, you went there and then this happened, that happened. You are summarizing whatever they say, whatever they told you. When you collect all this information and then you tell them all this at the end of the call, they would actually think that you are one of the problem solver, not someone who listens to you, right? And then one more thing is that you can give them, for example, let's say they are talking something very seriously, and what you can do is that you can maintain effective passes like I did. For example, I took this 2-3 seconds. You might have actually thought that I'm thinking something in my mind, but I wasn't thinking anything anyways. Which is basically like when you maintain this effective pass, right? The person who is talking to you, right? They would actually think that you are thinking about their problem and you are finding a way to solve their problem. All right. So again, like you are building a trust. And this is how this Momo and Blue Whale actually work. What Momo does is that it comes up with a fake number, and then it collects information like your name by a true caller, and then it put it on the Facebook, and then find this your name, profession, etc., etc., and it does almost all the informations about you, right? So basically, it will be telling like I have your profile, and then you will get scared, and then it will be asking like please save my number, and then you'll be saving the number on the WhatsApp. Once you save my number, it will actually show you your display picture. So again, I'll put a Google reverse image search on something, and then I'll find information about you more, and then if I put it on a Truecaller, I can find your name, etc., and then I can blackmail you, basically like I hacked you, like how we drafted the mail, right? And Blue Whale actually, it's completely social engineering stuff. At one point it will be asking like to make you a post on Facebook. How does it do that? It will be asking you to make a post like I'm going to commit suicide with the public as privacy. So why it is asking you is that because once you do that, right, it will actually go and look at your post and see if someone has commented under your post. If it doesn't, then obviously you would actually think that nobody's worrying about your death, so you deserve to die. That is why they built Blue Whale, basically. It's a psychology game. and this one. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? All right. So can you tell me what is exactly wrong with this screen? What is this? I mean, this was a campaign which was running by SpiceJet Airlines. I don't know how many. I assume like most of you traveled in flights. Can you tell me what is exactly wrong with this? With this particular post, what someone could do? Can somebody tell me like what is exactly wrong with this post? No, that is one thing. No, I'm saying like. One second, I'll tell you. No, that is one thing. No. That's not the thing. This was a campaign which was done by SpiceJet Airways, which is like they organized a concert with OnePlus, and they are asking people to enter their flight PNR number. PNR number. This is what PNR number is. This XC. This is PNR number. So in this information, no. Not irrelevant because the concert was done by this particular. They are all singers basically, right? So PNR number. One second. So it's PNR is passenger. So now a lot of people commented under this post. I already know their name, first name, right? If I check their profile name, I can find first name, second name. I have their PNR number, which they typed it willingly. So what someone could do with this information is that if you have noticed, a flight has this option called web check-in. You don't have to go to the airport. You can just do a web check-in through online and then do it. So if I have this information about you, what I can do is that I can go to the web check-in page of a SpiceJet. One second, I can zoom it. I guess here it is. So I know your PNR number and email. How I got it? I got it here. This information. It is asking your last name and the PNR number. A lot of people typed under this post, and I have their second name and I have their PNR number as well. So I'll go to this website, which is again by SpiceJet website itself. I'll put their PNR number and then I'll put their last name. And what someone could do it, I can actually see when they are, getting on their flight and when they're actually landing, where are they going, which seat they have chose. I'm actually maximized, but my screen is like pretty big. It's 27 inch. That's why, so this is the PNR. This is what PNR would do. If I type this information like this here and here, if I go to the SpiceJet website and do it, I can even cancel their flight. I can cancel their flight. I can choose their seat. I can change their seat, etc. I can do literally everything with their. I can find their age. I can find their second name. I can find their, like which flight are they going, etc. So this someone could do it. And this is a problem which was actually there in SB. How many of you have seen this? This machine. All right, this one. Have you seen this mission anywhere?
We have seen
Yes. So how
in
many of you have
banking and
seen
all.
this account number and all? People used to share their account number, right, for donations and all. Have you noticed that?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
have you used this mission? How does this mission actually works? What do you have to do basically?
We can print our passbook.
Yeah, what do you need to do basically? I mean, what will you do if the mission is in front of you? I mean, steps.
Just we can actually word is there. Na? We can just
Exactly.
place the
So we
word.
just
It will.
you don't have to enter any button. You will not find any button. You just have to keep your passbook, and then it will tell you how much balance you have and what are the transactions
Yes,
that
yes.
happen, etc. Right. So
Even it
basically,
will print it out all these information.
exactly. So what happened with the SBI was that this is how the passbook looks like, right? This is how the barcode would be. So what happened was SBI and other passbook machines had this problem, which is basically getting account number is very easy, right? Getting account number of someone is very easy. Is right? If I'm right, yes, right. Is it tough to get someone's account number? Bank account number. Nothing else, only account number. Is it tough?
No,
No, right. So what they actually done is that they just converted this account number alone into barcode, right? So what you need to do is that if you have an account number, how to exploit this particular exploit was that you have someone's account number and you convert that as a barcode, right? You have multiple, right? So what you have to do is that just type any number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 and generate barcode, and this is the barcode. Okay, so what bug they actually had was they just converted your account number into barcode. So how we can exploit this is that you collect someone's account number and convert that into a barcode, print it on a A4 sheet, and then keep it in the passbook machine. That's it. It will tell you how much balance that they have. You understand? Are you able to understand? Yes. So this is pretty much, this is how easy it was. So let's say you found someone's account number and they have a lot of money, and then only you would be able to you would be willing to exploit them. You getting me, right? So this is the little information that you are actually giving, right? I mean, the kind of post that you make, the status that you put on WhatsApp, the mail that you have sent, or the Facebook post that you have made, the comment you are doing, with all this information, someone can actually predict you. And this is exactly how FB Analytica works. Have you ever heard about this? Cambridge Analytica. You know this Cambridge Analytica issue which happened in Facebook? So yes, Cambridge Analytica, what they actually done is that they collected like 1 second. So what they actually done is that they have collected 5,000 data points. Right, very easy. Collecting 5,000 data points via Facebook is very easy. So what kind of data that are they collecting? 5,000 data points is that, for example, in this case, we collected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We collected 6, 7 data points. But in Cambridge Analytica, they collected 5,000 data points on each and every person. Like, what is it like? What things would make them angry? What would make them to react this way? What would make them to share this post, etc., etc. So they collected all this information and then they started manipulating them. How do they started manipulating them? Is that like arranging the posts, etc., etc. And that's how they did the Cambridge Analytica. And when you're talking to someone over the phone, your tone also matters. I don't know if you have come across this, but once you are done with the session, you can check this. You can check this video. I'll suggest you that. I'll just tell you the name of that. You can check this video. So basically, this is one of the very biggest scam that happened in US in the name of medical device. So why tone matters is that when you are talking in a lower tone, right? A lot of people would actually think that you are someone who controls them. Tone, the kind of tone that you use. If you talk to them, like very loudly, they would think that you are pissed off. When you talk to someone via lower tone, right? The human psychology would actually think that you are not controlling them, you are just giving them an order, like you do this, you do that, not in a controlling way, but it's like you do it and this will happen. You understand the difference, right? So that is why the tone matters when you're talking to someone. And also secondly, and if you have read about this hostage negotiation, uh, like hostage negotiation. And also the thing is, like, when someone is like so sad, and when someone is like whining to you, ranting to you that their day was not good, etc. The thing is, like, if you don't notice, it's hostage negotiation, right? Some people would be like, some would have kidnapped some people, and then they would be asking this and that. The person who would be doing the negotiation from the government side is whom you call as a hostage negotiator. So what they would be doing is that they would be talking to the person who kidnapped them. They need to build the trust, everything within a very short span of time. So one such thing that they do is that they will start respecting the other person. Basically, the thing is, like, when you respect someone when they actually don't expect it, most of the time they would actually listen to you very properly, and they would do what you are asking them to do. When you talk to someone nice, and also when you're manipulating someone, it's not when you are talking, it's like how you are talking and when you are talking, right? When you're talking to someone, it's not like you gotta give them information and all. It is also not like how you are talking, it's when you are talking. You shouldn't make them feel like you are like forcing them, or you are making them to listen, etc. So when you are talking to them, is actually matters a lot. So yes, how to practice social engineering is that there is this awesome book called as Emotions, Paul Lickman. I guess we have a lot of professors as well here. You don't have to manipulate them, but then like hostage negotiation is something which is like you need to know about it, because you can understand your student very better. What are they doing, what are they lying and all, obviously, right? I mean, you've been into this industry since a very long time, you've been in this profession since a very long time. So just by talking to a student, you might be knowing like whether this person has done any mistakes or not, whether he is scared or not, etc., etc. I have mentioned here. Here it is. Emotions revealed by Paul Ekman, which will tell you how to understand someone better, how to read their emotions, etc., etc. So it's like when you do this with your student, right? You can understand them whether they had a very bad day or not, whether they are lying to you or not, whether they are listening to you or not. All these information you can actually do it. It is just that you need to practice better. So it's engagement. You need to engage with all the people across you, and you need to interact with them often, and then you collect information, and then only you can manipulate someone. This is how the social engineering actually works, and this is how I started. Very long back. This was me when I was in college. I had around like 1,500. 150 participants, and this event, this awareness program which I organized in 2019, and we had around like 7,500. So this was the phase. Like, this is how I learned. I learned social engineering by talking to people, understanding them better. Like, I run a company, so it also helps me to get clients, or if I want to hack someone, this would also be helpful for you. So the reason why I'm teaching you all this is that if someone is practicing this against you, you can be very better. You can understand them. They're actually trying something against you. So any questions, comments, let me know here. Like, I'll be here. Let me know. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm here. You can turn on the mic and then you can ask me as well. Not an issue. And yes, if you want to reach out to me, you have all this information. You have my Facebook profile page. Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, etc., etc. If you want to reach out to me, you can do it. If you have any questions, you can ask them. Such as open tools. See, I mean, there are multiple tools. For example, I'll just tell you.
Actually, sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes. So this tool would also help you. OSINT framework. This tool, you just check this tool, you will understand. And there's one more tool is one second, I forgot the tool name. Oh my god. It's a very common tool that we all use. For instance, hold on for a second. I forgot the tool name. Oh my god, it's very, very like common tool that we all use. I don't know. Yes, it's Maltigo. I'm so sorry, Maltigo. This tool would also be able to like helpful. This tool you can look at it. It will help you to collect so much information about a person, etc. So basically, yes, when it comes to social engineering, when you're talking to someone, this is something which needs, because many big companies, they get hacked because of social engineering. Let's say you work for a company. Let's say I'm going to hack a hotel. What I'll do is that let's say I want to make them to open a link. I would tell them like, I'm this person. I'm located in this room and I'm not able to open this link. Can you just try opening it and let me know? And then they will open the link. I'm talking to the person who is sitting as a receptionist, and they will open it, and I'll get into the hotel network. This is something which I can do with almost every organization, right? So that's it. Any questions you can ask me, I'm here. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's wonderful talking to you all. Best practices to avoid social engineering is that don't give information about you too much to anyone. And the second thing which I would tell you is that, who are saying like, basically, a lot of people would have told you, right? They're giving you this for free, that for free, etc., etc. Don't fall for that. Don't give any information. Let it be your mail ID, phone number. If you don't know the person, like, you're not supposed to do it. It's very simple, right? And 1 second, let me stop this.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Hello.
1 second. Yes, you can take. Yes, I'm here. You can ask me. I'm here. I'm listening.
Sir, why?
Am I audible?
I want to know. We have been site is there, na? Then why it is not against the cyber law? Because they are collecting our data and password and all.
Where, sir? I didn't get you. Where are you talking? Which one we are talking about?
Actually, that time you have taken my mail ID and you are showing my password and everything, which I have been used previously.
Yes.
Then why it's not against the cyber law? Because how they are taking our data and all
How does it
passwords.
actually work? I'll tell you how does it works. So basically, there are companies like there are Facebook, there are Google, there are Apple, there are Gmail, etc., etc. So these companies, right? These companies basically they get hacked one time or the another, right? You cannot say almost all the companies might have got hacked. So what happens is that when there's when there's a hacker who hack into companies like Facebook or something, they will leak their database publicly. You have you seen that the companies get breached and all? Have you seen those news?
Yeah, recently for Facebook even whichever.
Exactly. So
Database.
that's what Sony got breached, this got breached, and all, right? So they will be leaking this database publicly. And the second thing which you do is that the companies like Sony, Facebook, and all, right, they will be sending a mail to all of you, like change your passwords. That our database got breached. Please change your passwords as soon as possible. But the problem is that most of us, we do not change the password. We may not be even looking at the mail ID. So what this particular website, right, have I been found? This particular website is basically to see whether your mail ID has been breached somewhere or not. Your account has been breached or not. This is your cross check, right? If you have breached any of this account, it is basically to tell you like you need to change the password. That is the reason why they have. It's not against the law.
Okay.
It's for your purpose. How will you know that this company got breached or not? You cannot look at the cyber security news daily, right? So that is why they have come up with this website to just cross check whether you have been breathed anywhere or not.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions? Yes, go ahead. Any questions?
Sir, how much confidence do you have that you won't be hacked?
No, we don't have any confidence basically. We all get hacked. That's why we are hackers. So basically, like we all get hacked. But the thing is, like, we at least know like what and all they would be using, right? I mean, 90% we can prevent ourselves, but 10% there is a lot of chance that we will get hacked too. Because FBI also got hacked, NSA got hacked. So I mean, like, you know, if those people are getting hacked, then we are like literally nothing. But it is just like if you just keep yourself aware about it, because like a lot of people are having this perception, which is like only cybersecurity guys should know about cybersecurity. It's not like that. We are all using mobile phones, right? So yeah, like we got hacked actually, but then we know how to prevent it. But if it is a targeted attack, let's say like you know, like 20 to 30 hackers are targeting me, then it's very difficult. In that case, protecting myself is like very difficult. So no, I don't have any confidence, but at least I know like what kind of information that I have shared with a lot of people. So if something goes wrong, I know this is what they're using to blackmail me. So that confidence I have, what I might have shared. I'm very conscious about like what kind of information that I share. All the Android or other applications want permissions to access to our context photos. No, see, I'll tell you how does it actually works. I'm not able to switch on the camera. Can you able to see this? Okay, so for example, that is not how it actually works. So for example, if Truecaller is asking for your gallery permission, it is not to download your photos. It is not your to download your photos. Basically, Truecaller needs this information, which is like I'll tell you how does it. In Android, each and every application run in a isolated environment. For example, each and every application would be running in a separate computer, right? So what basically Truecaller, the reason why it is asking for is that Truecaller has this option where you can set your display picture. You need a picture to keep that as a display picture, right? The reason why Truecaller is asking for that permission is that only if you give that permission, the Truecaller can access your gallery, and then only you can set which picture should go to the display picture. You're getting what I'm trying to say, right? Exactly. If it is asking for contact, then again I'm telling you, if it is asking for contact, Truecaller needs your contact detail, then only it can read your contacts and show you this is the person who is calling you. So again, for that, if it is asking for media, again, if Instagram, see, I mean, if Facebook, right? Facebook, it will be asking for photo permission only if you are uploading photo from your gallery. So that is the reason why it's asking. But I'm not saying like they will not be collecting your photos or something, which might happen. But the reason why these companies like Truecaller and all is asking is that they cannot access your photos, that you need to keep that for display picture. They cannot access your gallery without you giving permission to it, because these all are isolated applications. Gallery is an application, Truecaller is an application, phone is an application, calculator is an application. To make this application work, you need to give that permission to this one. You can say like, you know, you can give permission like permission only if you are using it. You can prevent yourself from that. That is one thing. Any other questions? iPhone is not secure. Android is not secure. It's all about how you are using it. Because I found a couple of bugs in Apple, and I also found a couple of bugs in Android as well. Exactly. But then if that is the case, then you know, like if you want to use that application, obviously they need it. But then we have GDPR and all of that. But then we cannot, you know, like say like we are 100% secure, or privacy is very expensive. Honestly speaking, privacy is very expensive. You can say like I'm not going to use China applications and all, but what are the phones that we are using? This all made up of China. MI is made up of China. South Korea. So Samsung is made in South Korea. Apple is assembled in China. So you know, privacy is expensive, honestly. Any other questions? You can do it stopping background activity, or you can use this antivirus called as Lookout, which is available for Android as well for iOS. which would help you basically. It will keep on scanning the applications, and if you're using a PC, you can go for Kaspersky or Malwarebytes or something. This antivirus is actually good. So yes, didn't teach us how will be the group attack. See, I mean, group attack as in I didn't understand. Okay, organization attack. So see, I mean, this is how the organization attack works. They don't hack the organization, they hack the employees. You go to LinkedIn and then type TCS, and it will tell you how many employees are working for TCS. You target any of that particular employee, and you get access to TCS. That is why you have this thing called network segmentation, policies, etc., etc. That is why you always need awareness, basically. So that's the thing which I started my talk with, right? You might have, like basically you might have spent millions of dollars, but if you don't if your particular like employee is not secure, then it's of no use. Any questions? Thank you so much. Any questions? What is the best way? Ethical hacker is just a term. You need to be pretty strong at basics. You need to learn programming language. You need to read a lot. That's it. So anyways, I'm leaving, I guess. So if you don't have any questions, it's fine. And also do let me know the feedbacks if you have any through the organizer. I would love to know them. And thank you so much for having me, NIT Nagaland. Thank you so much once again. And have a great day and be secure. And there's a lot of attacks are going right now because of Corona. A lot of people are at home. So that is the reason why Zoom never had government never said like Zoom is not secure. Government just said, you need to follow these advisories to make sure Zoom is secure. Government never said Zoom is not secure. Government just said this is the best way to use Zoom in a good way. So a lot of people started saying like Zoom is not secure, Zoom is not secure. Government itself like suggested. The government never suggested. If you look at the advisory, government just said this is the best way to use it securely. This is the proper way to configure it, etc. So a lot of things might happen in this Corona because a lot of people are at home. So attack might be a lot, and you need to make sure you keep on your bank account. And a lot of people are also sending these kind of links. You have this moratorium, right? Basically, the government said like you don't have to pay EMI. So a lot of people are also sending you mail. Like if you don't want to pay, 3 months of EMI, click this link, and again they're collecting your bank details out of that as well. So before you click any of it, if it is something that relates with your financial thing, talk to your bank, because 2 years ago there was this statistics which was says like for every 10 minutes there's a cybercrime in India. It is that serious of an issue that is happening here. So you need to be very aware and things like that. So that's it. Thank you so much, and thank you so much once again, and thank you so much for passionately.
Thank you so much, sir. This is because on NIT Nagaland, I'd like to thank you so much for coming and giving the presentation and awareing us about the activities going on our internet and the security and the social engineering related things. Thank you so much. And shall I share your mail address so that people can have direct later on?
Yes. Or else they can, if you have feedback, if you have Google form, you can send them for feedbacks, which I would love to know, because I would not be giving any webinars because I'm done with it. I've already given like 200 to 300 webinars. So this is going to be my last, I guess. So if you have any feedbacks, let me know that as well. And
we actually at the end of our program we have a feedback session. There all the participants. They will give their individual feedbacks of individual sessions. Also, they can give an overall session. Also, they can give. So we have the facility.
I got it.
Do that. Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you again. Yes.
Have a great day. See you all.
Yeah. Bye. So all participants. Sai sir, anything? Sri sir?
No. Have you recorded this?
Yes, we have recorded, but this recording will be available for AICTE people only. We'll be uploading to their websites only. And
also, we used a couple of mail IDs and all, right? In this, if you want to, you can blur it for their security.
Oh, okay. Actually, okay. So those mail IDs are already shared with this one ATOL program, AICTE. It is already shared because we need to give the person.
I'm talking about like we put someone's mail ID and got their phone number, etc. and all, right?
Yeah. Their details are already available. Available in the sense like their mail IDs and all those things are already available.
It will be available, but if they're posting it on their YouTube channel or something, then it's security issue. Someone might try their mail ID.
Okay, then
That's
we'll have a talk with the AICTE people and like whether we will upload this session or not. That we'll think it up because this might kind of thing. Yes. Thank you again because you have awared us for this also. Thank you so much. And like I request all the participants. So today we will wind up our session from now onwards, and like tomorrow will be coming as per our schedule. We'll start our session 6 tomorrow morning 9:30 a.m. So thank you everyone for joining with us, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So much once again for having me.